Hi everyone, welcome back to my sewing channel. I am Cynthia and I am once again in my sewing room, and this is another edition of Friday Sews. Friday Sews is like a little project that Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room created to help bring sewers together, and I just thought it was a lovely idea. I've been sewing for probably about 10 years on and off, and it wasn't until I found Friday Sews and I joined YouTube Friday Sews that I've actually started creating more frequently. Normally I was just doing my daughter's Halloween costumes or occasional quilt here and there, even though it did not stop my obsession with buying fabric, but I was sewing sporadically here and there. So what I'm doing now is my main focus right now is to get my craft room ready, get my supplies ready to do some charity sewing. What I've done is, since I do a lot of clothing in regular quilters cotton, that I decided to take my scraps and cut them into manageable sizes. So what I did was I have two bins, and this one here is, let me get a piece of fabric that you guys might recognize if you've seen my channel. Like here, this was my Valentine's Day dress. So I have pieces of that in here. I have some leftover pieces from a project Dress a Girl, just to show you a few. And what I did is I'm doing two different sizes. I'm doing 2.5-inch squares, which is in this box. And I got quite a few. I probably have drop some. I probably have enough to make at least one blanket, I would think, if not more. I'm thinking about making quilts for the NICU. A friend of mine has a charity which is called Preemies of the Carolinas. I will post a link to her down below. That she first started with little baby hats and little flannel hearts, and now she's doing anything kind of you want to give. She's doing blankets, she's doing onesies, doing just decorations, and you can knit, crochet, or sew. So I have pieces of 2.5-inch squares, and then I have this big box, this big container of these are 4.5-inch squares. So I've been cleaning out my craft room and taking whatever quilter cotton fabric I have, and either if I have a big piece, I'm cutting it into 4.5-inch squares, and if I have smaller pieces, I'm doing 2.5-inch squares. And then I have another bin. Okay, it is a trash bin, but it's not trash. Okay, I have pieces that I couldn't get either size from. Now this is a big strip, but this is like 2 inches, so I can't do my 2.5-inch. And then I have pieces that look like that. This is, a little piece. I'm trying to get because I got tiny pieces in here. See, like little tiny. Well, that's not really that tiny, but I guess you get the idea. Yeah. Oh, this one's a little tiny. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to start a crumb quilt. That's what I don't know if crumb quilt is the official terminology for it, but you take pieces that may otherwise have been too small, and you take them and you just sew them together, and any old way you want. And then the goal is kind of to then take the fabric that you create from sewing all these little pieces together, and then you can kind of, I would cut them probably into 6-inch squares and maybe 6.5-inch squares. Once I get these little scraps, oops, I'm just making a mess. Once I get these little scraps sewn together, I would cut like 6.5-inch squares to make them a little more manageable, and then I'll probably put them in another container and then make a quilt from that. So you don't waste anything. I did throw out a lot of pieces. Like I threw out selvages because I just don't want to put those in my quilt. But like, look, see the little piece like that? Look inside. Now this one, I don't know if you noticed, this is from my Little Red Riding Hood outfit. So I think that's really cool because a lot of these scraps mean a lot to me. Like, I love this outfit. I wore it for this Halloween, and then this fabric here, was the Dress a Girl dress. And then I have some red for the hood of my Little Red Riding Hood. And then, oh, I have this part here, which is from my Easter dress. So a lot of these pieces kind of like mean something to me, which I think will be really cute. Oh, this is fabric. I don't know where this came from, but I made my oldest daughter, who's my smallest, I made her masks during COVID out of this fabric. So it's just a lot of really cool fabrics in here, and I just don't want to throw them out, clutter up the landfill any more than it already is. And then I figured, crumb quilting makes really, really interesting quilts. So that's what I'm hoping for, and also hoping to help out the NICU in my area, because I don't know if everyone's aware that I have triplets, triplet girls who are now 17 years old. They were born at 27 weeks and 5 days, so they spent roughly 2 months in the NICU, hooked up to oxygen and hooked up to all the machines. My oldest naturally was born first. She's the oldest. She was just 1 pound 14 ounces. So so they were pretty tiny, and she was only 12 inches long, so about the size of a ruler. So doing stuff for the NICU is really close to my heart. They did come home on separate days, which I guess in a way that was good, so I didn't have 3 babies all at once to deal with. And it's actually funny because my youngest, she came home first. She was born at 2 pounds 13 ounces, 12 and a half inches long, 13 inches long, something like that. She came home first. She came home the Friday before Thanksgiving. And then my oldest, who's the 1 pound 14 ounces, 12 inches long, she came home the Monday before Thanksgiving. And then my middle daughter, she was born at 2 pounds 15 ounces, the fat one, or whatever, if you want to call her that. She was a little bigger than her sisters, and she came home last. She came home the day after Thanksgiving. So November is also reminiscent of when they came home and our family came together and became whole. So I guess this is a good time to start thinking about making the blankets for the NICU. I've posted about here a few times about making some of the hearts from flannel. I have one woman from my sewing group, Carolyn. She makes a lot of hearts. She has made a lot of hearts in the past couple of months, once I first told her about it. So it'd be great. Like I said, I'm going to put the link to her website. I'm pretty sure she has a mailing address, so if you're not local, you could always mail stuff to her. She'll pretty much accept anything and it doesn't necessarily have to be like micro preemie size, because there are babies in the NICU that are of, I guess, average size. The baby's born, they could be, anywhere from 6 to 10 pounds or whatever, because it's just, it's not just for preemies, but she does help all children. So those are my plans. I'm trying to get, from now, it is November 10th at the time I'm recording this video. So I'm trying to get from November 10th to the 1st of January, trying to get my sewing room under control, getting all my scraps in order, and then in January, or maybe even before if I have time, to start making the blankets. I'm probably going to start making the crumb quilt blanket probably next week, actually, because I have my sewing group that we meet at our local library. So I'll probably bring that project with me, because that's kind of a lot of fun. It's really a non-thinking project. Just grab a piece of fabric from the bin, sew it against another piece of fabric, and then you can cut it, you can trim it, whatever, and then sew another piece on it, and another piece and another piece, until, like I said, I'm going to do 6.5 inch squares. So by the time I get to that, just cut it to size, put it aside, and continue. So it's kind of like a no-brainer. But sometimes that's the hard part. If you've done quilts, sometimes quilts, you think so much about what you're going to do and what fabrics you're going to use and what fabrics you're going to put together and what pattern you're going to use. And then to do something so random, it's kind of challenging. So, let me know in the comments below if you've heard of crumb quilting and tried it, and what are your thoughts. There are a ton of YouTube videos on crumb quilting, but like I said before, I'm not exactly sure if that is the exact terminology for this kind of quilt. The reason why they call it crumbs is because the pieces are usually so small that there's really no other way of doing it. I guess it's like, you know, like if you have a piece of toast and you make crumbs on your plate, you know, that's what we're using. We're using the little bits that kind of other people might consider useless. But if, you know, that's a lot of fabric to throw out. And I could probably get at least, right now, probably at least one baby size quilt. And they don't even have to be like fully baby size. They could be a little smaller. But I probably have at least one quilt in there from those crumbs, so to speak. So those are my most recent plans. I'm not sure if I'm doing Christmas gifts this year. I don't know. I'll have to think about it, make a list, and I'll get back to you guys on that. So far that is what I'm doing. And then I finally remembered to do Jen's question of the week. Even though it is optional, I do enjoy hearing other people answer it. So I figured, you know, I would try to remember to answer it. And I believe today's question is, what is your easiest pattern that you like to do? So I'm kind of leaning towards my lyric dress, because that's like a really useful, you know, useful pattern that I use. I'll post probably a couple of pictures up here. I've made, I think, 11 of them. I've made them so many times that I probably need to reprint my pattern, because I only printed it once, and I've used it so many times. And I can literally make one in an afternoon, from cutting to sewing. I don't even look at the instructions. I could just get it going and probably have one done in probably 3 hours. But that's not, I don't do buttons. So that's including everything but my buttons. And I usually cheat and I use snaps. Snaps are my friend. And maybe they're your friend too. If they are, please let me know. So I guess that would be the most easiest pattern that I like to do. I posted last week about these hats. Now these hats are pretty easy. These could take like maybe 20 minutes from start to finish. And this is the one that I made my last week video. It is like a thin sweater knit. And I realized I didn't talk about it on my last video, what fabric this was, because I also made a dress out of it. It feels like a thin sweater knit. It's really nice. It's really nice and soft. Great for fall wearing. So that is all I have for today. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see how my blankets come out. Please visit the Preemies of Carolinas if you're interested in possibly donating to this organization. It's a very worthy cause. I don't know how many people work it. I know my friend has started it, and she started it at least 6 years ago, I believe, because that's when I met her, and she had already had it, but it wasn't as big as it is now. It has definitely grown a great deal since I've heard about it. So also give me a thumbs up if you like this video or have learned anything, or want to see what I have next planned with all my quilt making. It'll be very interesting to see how many quilts I can get from my scraps. I know I'm not done. I have a lot of, you know, I'm going to probably take whatever fabric I have, maybe a half a yard or less, and cut it up and see what I can make with it. So subscribe so you don't miss any of those videos, and also hit a like so that more people can see my videos. And thank you for spending time with me today. So I hope where you are, the sun is shining and you're staying warm or staying cool, depending on where you live. And I hope where you are, the sun is shining, and I hope that your family is healthy. And thank you for spending time with me today. And I hope you are being as creative as you possibly can, even if it's just for a little bit each day. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.